Good morning, everyone. It's Lee Henson, President and Founder of Agile Dad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Stand-Up. So without any further ado, let's get started. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the way Agile teams interpret Scrum and some of the common misinterpretations that happen that cause a Scrum team to lose focus or to worry or to come across as, eek, this isn't what I signed up for, right? So whether it's the team's understanding that, for example, Agile means that we're going to do everything quicker, so we're not going to have as many meetings. Our calendars are going to be a lot more open. Or if it's the subconscious telling them that Agile means no documentation, little things like that, right? But there are some key things that are interesting that I think cause a lot of misinformation or misunderstanding. And one of those happened all the way back in 2001. So in February 2001, that's when the Agile Manifesto was written, we learned about individuals and interactions over processes and tools. And I think many people missed the key words in the middle, right? So what they did is they tried to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They said, oh, well, that means that we don't need contracts. We don't need processes. We don't need tools. And they literally took everything on the right and just completely abolished it and said, the things on the left are Agile. The things on the right are not Agile. So working software, customer collaboration, all those good things are Agile. But if you have a plan, you're not doing Agile because you have a plan. So you should plan not to plan, no contracts, no documentation, and no, of course, process or tools. And I think that the key there is that if you throw out all those things on the right, you are going to wind up in a very bad position. Because I think it's going to cause you to have bias. I think it's going to cause you to misinterpret or not understand how agility really works. And it wasn't the intent of the writers of the Agile Manifesto for you to throw out all the things on the right. It's not either or. It's this over that, or this with less of this, right? So I think it's just important for you to really read through and understand. Now, the good news for you is if you fell into that trap, it's okay, because a lot of people misunderstood the Agile Manifesto. A lot of people got confused. And that's why the writers of the Agile Manifesto produced a document that was the 12 principles to support the Agile Manifesto. Now, I'm going to be honest. I know a lot of people who have the Agile Manifesto memorized, but how many of you actually have the 12 principles memorized? That's kind of crazy when you talk about principle number 4, being that business people and technology people should work together daily throughout a project. Or number 10, you should maximize the art of figuring out what you're not going to do, right? Or talking about that the best line or ways of communication is face-to-face conversations. These are the things that, in essence, and I'm going to go here, are even more powerful than the manifesto itself. Yet people don't remember, or they don't understand, or they don't line up. They try to align themselves with just a few words of the Agile Manifesto instead of aligning themselves to the supporting principles that cause the manifesto to work. Now, admittedly, I think this is a symptom. I think that the reason why this is happening is because in today's day and age, we're used to the media telling us what we should believe and telling us what we should do. And it's hard for us to establish and to understand and to dig deeper and do the research and find out the answers for ourselves. So because we've been so accustomed to the internet and the book of Google teaching us everything we need to know, it's harder for us to embrace that, hey, this approach and this design is there so that we can become better at what we do, and so that we can use this to cycle for interpretation, and so that we can figure out, using an iterative approach, how we're best going to engage and embrace Agile. And I think that teams really, really struggle with that. I think the one principle that resonates the most, and it leads me to my third and final misinterpretation I'm going to cover today, is the principle regarding sustainable pace. I think that sometimes we forget that, sustainable pace means just that we're going to have to slow down before we speed up. And I think that, I often call this the Agile Speed Bumps, if you will. In order to have safety in a residential neighborhood, many times organizations like homeowners associations go in and put speed bumps or, the little speed humps throughout the neighborhood to slow down people who are driving in case there are children playing or activities that are happening. It really does help prevent accidents. It really does help prevent injury, and it helps people be more safe. But in order for people to get to where they need to get to safely, and in order to eliminate waste, sometimes we just need to slow down and be sustainable and take a look. And the way I often teach this is that as a former C-level executive, right, and a current C-level executive, if you gave me two choices, if you gave me one team that would fly through everything, would get everything done, their quality was decent, the quality wasn't bad. It's just every time they said they were going to do something, they would always fall short. They would set stretch goals, but they would never finish the items that they said they were going to complete. And you gave me a second team, and the second team always committed to doing less work, but they always finished all the work that they committed to. Which team am I going to like better? Obviously, team B. I don't care that team A was doing more. If they were unpredictable, it didn't make sense to me. So I think over time, what we learn is that the best part of agility can be found in your team's predictability. And that being said, oftentimes we need to slow down before we speed up. So I had a student in class ask me, how consistently should we see the velocity increase? Or over time, should the velocity continuously increase? And my answer, of course, was no. That at some point the team's going to plateau. But when I say plateau, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be, 20 points, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, right? That's not what it means. There's going to be ebb and flow. But I think that you need to understand holistically that in order for you to get a sustainable pace, in order for you to get to the point where you can become predictable, oftentimes that means you need to peel back a little bit and slow down a little bit so that you can achieve the predictability that you're trying to get to. So it's important for us to slow down before we speed up. It's kind of like conditioning ourselves so that when we condition ourselves, we can become better at what we do. But sometimes that means conditioning doesn't always mean go all out every single time. We need to work on our muscles, and we need to work on resistance, and we need to work on producing higher speeds, but it's incrementally. It's not all at once. So you need to be sustainable in order for you to gain productivity and in order for you to gain predictability. So there you have it. I know what you're thinking. That was a great topic, but I have something I want to talk about. If you have something you want to talk about in the Daily Stand-Up, I invite you to reach out to us at learnmore@agiledad.com, because we'd love to hear what you want to talk about so that we can make it part of the Daily Stand-Up podcast. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.